Alrighty, lads, we are back with some more Lord of Gallows lore. This time, what the fuck is the Nupis? Now, the Nupis is a faction that I enjoy a little bit, maybe too much. Maybe I like them a little bit too much. Because they're all about intrigue. They're all about scheming and plotting and backstabbing one another. But at the same time, they really don't understand that either. You see, while all the other factions in Doldura have centralized, they have accumulated all their power and they made sure that there's a very well-defined hierarchy in their ranks. The Nupis, not so much. In fact, there's many leaders and other gangsters in the Nupis clans that don't even understand that there is an overarching lord. This is kind of the funny thing about them. They all think that they're their own leaders, their own gang, and then they think that Nupis is just really the name of the region, when reality is everyone who's an outsider, who's not in the Nupis region, knows that the Nupis is actually a faction. They're not just a gang, they're not just the name of the shanty towns that they live in, this crappy urban sprawl. No, the Nupis is a real faction, they're a real deal. It's just, at times, it really doesn't feel like they even exist. And that's because that's their strength. Their biggest strength is stealth. Now, they do have the largest amount of people, but at the same time, they don't have anything good about those people. Really, they're all just regular men and women who all think that they can carve a name out for themselves. And usually they all think that they can backstab one another to climb the ranks, to more or less establish greater money for themselves, better income, better goods, better material. But even the highest ranking of Nupis men know that there is something far greater out there than money or power, and that is simply to hide one's identity, to make it where you're almost invisible and unseen. And this is where only their leader has achieved this, through mysterious means. No one even knows who he is. As I said, the Nupis, they are guided, they are being led a certain path, but yet even the Nupis themselves scratch their head and go, how are we being led? But yet we are not sure how. We're not even sure who's pulling the strings. This is their leader, who is the ultimate epitome of what it is to be a Nupis, which is to be in the shadows, in the background, always in plain sight, but yet never seen. Always to be somewhere lurking in the shadows, knowing every little dark secret about everybody. This has led to very interesting moments where some individuals in the Nupis group have always theorized about creating their own faction. After all, they think, you know what? I own like 3 blocks. That's a huge amount of land. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go join the Scrimkin. I'm going to go join the Robus. I'm going to go join someone. And then, of course, after finishing that sentence, him and all of his followers just mysteriously disappear. No one knows if they died. No one knows if they somehow became invisible to the naked eye. No one knows. This has led to a lot of members of the Nupis to just simply focus on the day-to-day aspects of their life. If anything, you can usually tell someone who's from the Nupis area who is actually a member of the Nupis is because they don't really seem to aspire to greater ambitions. They don't seem to think about what they could do or what they could achieve. They just try to focus on a day-to-day life because they know that everyone that's around them, anytime they start having these dreams of grandeur, they just end up missing or gone or dead or just found in the alleyway, completely bereft of blood. It's like, okay, I get the picture. Whoever it is out there that owns the Nupis area, I get the picture. I shouldn't be trying to establish my own group. I shouldn't be establishing everything. So with that being said, when you usually fight the Nupis, you're usually fighting the local gangs and the local thugs who are just going to ambush you, stab you in the back alley, and leave your ass rotting in the urban sprawl. And trust me, there's many back alleys. It's utterly disgusting how the area that the Nupis live in is just utterly disgusting because it's just your typical dystopic sprawl of urban industrialization. There is chemical sludge everywhere. There's just nasty shanty towns made of like tin. It can barely even hold up against the harshest of weather. It's just a rundown muck. And most of the food usually has mold on it. It's not exactly an ideal living standard, but it has made some very tough people. Now, you may wonder, well, how does a faction like this militarize? How do they set about fighting the other factions? Well, usually the other factions attack them. And usually what happens then is as they're pushing and pushing and pushing into Nupis territory, the Nupis, all their gangsters and such, form into a loyal bond with one another. You see, the whole idea behind the Nupis is just simple tribalism, essentially. Where what they do is they go, we don't like that guy because he's got his own gang. He's just a jackass. We don't like him because he's not one of us. But then when an outsider comes in like the Robus or the Jewel or the Hook Bloods, that's when they go, yeah, I'm going to fight alongside that guy because me and him, we been around the same block. We been around the same area. We're not going to let some slicker from the docks come in here and try to push us over. Nah, it's not going to happen. So it's one of those interesting things where it's almost kind of like, I would say, the KKK, where the KKK is not actually a unified organization. There's actually many, many, many different groups. But when they confront outsiders, they do it as a unified front. They will work with each other, even though they hate each other's guts almost as much as they hate everyone else, only because they want to present a unified front, a symbol of strength to everyone else out there, to instill fear into everyone else. Now, of course, when the Hook Bloods came in and nearly decimated them, many of the Nupis were unaware of how to even fight this kind of warfare. This is new to them. Most of the time when they're fighting, it's usually guerrilla warfare, or they know their targets ahead of time, so they can assassinate the leaders, the captains. They can leave the enemy leaderless and leave the enemy scrambling to recover. And that's how they can push and expand their territory. But against the Hook Bloods, it was a lot more difficult because they didn't know anything about this guy who's invading them. Now, in today's standards, now the Hook Bloods have actually been around for a few years. The Nupis have understood how to attack them, but the problem that they're having is that the Hook Bloods are too disciplined. That's one of their main things, is discipline. And the Hook Bloods own their area very strictly, very tightly. So it's very hard to even get your assassins in this area without them knowing. And then even if you do successfully assassinate a captain, the men are so well disciplined that they can rearrange their chain of command on the fly, or they can continue with their previous orders without any need for a captain to tell them otherwise. This is one of those issues that the Nupis has had. Now, there is an interesting thing, is that there's a difference between the Nupis and the Skrimkin. Both of them are arguably the largest factions. They have like the most people. But the Skrimkin have the most sailors. They have the most ships. And that's where their strength lies, is their ships. The Nupis, they rely on their people and only their people. They actually have no navy. As it stands, there's a rumor, quote-unquote rumor, that they have ships. But their ships are much like them in that they're shrouded in mystery. They're almost invisible to the naked eye. And with that being said, there has been 3 reports of 3 different ships that have flown the Nupis colors. But we'll just leave that as rumors and speculation. Now, if we look at the map here that I have of Doldura, the Nupis area has actually this area known as the Cliffs of No Return, and there's a reason for that. Those cliffs is literally just that. It's just a massive, massive cliff. So what it is the Nupis don't actually have any docks. They don't have any real shoreline to even build these ships from. So this is why I'm saying if they did have ships, it would be maybe 3, maybe less. The rumors say that there's 3 of them, which would be interesting if that's true. It'd be interesting to see what those ships are like. But as it stands, as far as factual, the Nupis have denied all claims that there even is any ship capabilities that they have, seeing as how they have no way of establishing a dock. They have no way of even going into the ocean. They have to rely on the Skrimkin, the Jewel, and the Hook Bloods for any sort of naval capabilities. Now, what's interesting about the Nupis is their leader. Their leader has only been seen once, and that was when the Hook Bloods invaded and all the leaders of all the factions unified for the first time ever. And this was also the first time ever that anyone ever seen the Nupis leader, and that is Illur. Illur is a very interesting man. He is shrouded in darkness from his special cloak that he has. No one is sure whether or not his cloak is magical or technological or just really, really dark. But it's able to completely cover his face so none can even see the glints in his eyes. He is truly a shroud, a shadow, a living, sentient shadow that none can really get their grab on. Now, as far as how does he fight, well, no one really knows if he's even got a weapon. All they know is that he's very acrobatic. He's very swift and cunning. He seems to always twirl and jump and leap over individuals. And every time he leaps over someone, all that's left is their body is just shredded minced meat, because his cape is actually razor sharp. It's not a cape per se, it's actually more like a line of blades. None are really too sure how it is that he's got such a fluidy metal as his cape that's still able to be razor sharp and sink through the thickest of armor. None are sure where he's got it. None are sure who even he is. Allure just appears out of nowhere, and he does seem to be in control of the Nupis, as the leaders of the Nupis, most of the prominent captains, all bow down to him. So, whoever Allure is, none can say. But the way he fights, people are even more disturbed. They don't know if he's got a weapon in his hand. All they know is that his cape is sharp. Except when he jumps over people, somehow they're dead way before he even jumps on them. So it leaves a lot to the imagination as to what it is exactly Allure is. Could the Nupis be the strongest faction in this island? That remains to be seen. But one thing is for sure, they are the hardest to probably invade, because of just simply the fact every back alley you go into, your forces are going to be dwindled and dwindled and dwindled. As you and your men are marching down the alleyways, a hand is going to come over, pull one soldier, shank him. Another hand's going to pull over and grab another guy, shank him. You're trying to go for the big cheese, the big castle, but reality is, it's the alleyways you have to watch out for. There is no defense, no cannon, no nothing that the Nupis will even assemble to fight you. It's really their daggers that you have to watch out for. Besides that, this has been Free to 700. I hope you guys enjoyed. This has been my book, Lord of Gallows. I am hoping to expand upon this more. I hope you guys enjoyed the Nupis, and I hope you guys enjoyed the map that I created. Besides that, see you guys next time.